Hello and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Dablola Ogunshaki and I'll start with Vanguard of the paper review. Vanguard is leading with how attendants manipulate forms, extort petrol consumers nationwide. How I was scammed, that's coming from victim. Cheating usually intense during scarcity, that's coming from motorist. NMDPRA lacks adequate personnel, absent at filling stations. You can see that story on page 21 of Vanguard newspaper. And here we have two photo story. The left photo story says UBA's GMD visits Ruto, and the second story shows Peter Obi as if it's a former president Olusegun Obasanjo. And the top right corner of the Vanguard newspaper on page 19, Diamond Rich Botswana appoints Nigerian Farouk as chairman of Sovereign Wealth Fund. NDLEA arrests Indian, three Nigerians over 3.9 billion naira tramadol shipments. Federal government predicts flooding in 11 states, advises evacuation. Speak truth to power, Tinubu challenges faith leaders. And lastly, on Vanguard newspaper, foreign policy, Nigeria remains non-aligned as according to Toga. You can see that story on page 9 on Vanguard newspaper. Away from that, we'll move to the nation. The nation major headline says, why not we vote Tinubu by Niger State Governor Bago? President has performed to expectations. Power should remain in South till 2031. Uzodinma presents a book on APC's 10 years in government September 30. Page 7 has that story and the top of the banner. No going back on the free fuel distribution, says Dangote. Lastly, on the Nation newspaper, build on seed of reconciliation, Ibas tells Fubara and lawmakers. Page 7 has that story. I will go straight to the Guardian from there. Guardian major headline says, back to school. Parents struggle with steep tuition hike as schools wrestle rising OPEX. Page 6 has that story. Punish politicians in early election campaign, Serap tells INEC. Expert divided over Fubara's return as emergency rule expires Thursday. Aregbesola condemns APC's economic policies. You can see that on news page 27. And directly below the banner, Akpabio urges Nigerians to Tari, says Tinubu's reforms will bear fruit. INEC others taxed on credible polls to avert protests. You can see that story on news page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And lastly, the Punch newspaper says emergency rule, Ibas different 6-month tenure as opposition demands probe. PDP, Labour Party, Mossop, others call for accountability as Fubara returns September 18. Wike Fubara Sean transition at Thanksgiving service. You can see that story on page 2. Lagos stops a 6-story building construction after report. You can see that on page 6. Ogun urges residents to relocate over flood threats. State pledge quality education as schools resume today. You can see that on page 6. In top right corner of the Punch newspaper, Kanu 6 transfer from DSS to National Hospital. And lastly, on the Punch newspaper, INEC Catholic bishops clash over 2023 poll credibility. You can see that on page 3 of the Punch newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies. Join us after the break for a brief analysis of some of the stories. Welcome back. If you're just joining with us, it's today the news on Vanguard Live. My name is Dambola Ogunshaki, and we're starting with attendance, how they manipulate forms and extort petrol consumers nationwide. And joining me to give us report is our correspondent, Egufe. Good morning, Egufe.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes, okay, give us your report.
Okay, so the situation in Uyo, capital city of Akwa Ibom State, which I cover, wasn't that critical for the two police stations I visited. But the feedback from major transporters, especially the Keke persons, that there are indeed a lot of police stations that cheat on the pump price at the police station. For the two police stations I visited, it was at the first was NMPC, just by Plaza in New York, the popular hub, commercial hub in New York. And then what I noticed was that they actually had their digital price notice at the entrance of the police station working. The figure that was there was 890 per liter. And when they sold, the measurement I used was this usual 1 liter can that the black marketers use. They use in dispensing for motorists. And when it was dispensed at 1 liter, it was that 1 liter at the NNPC police station. Just a little short of what the black market settings will sell for you, a little short of the 1 liter. And then I also noticed too that there was surge of buyers in that police station. And a keke rider now told me that what they observe is that when you see a police station being patronized, especially two police stations that are so close to each other, and one is selling more than the other, you notice that, just notice that's one of the indices they use in judging that the other one that is not selling much is probably cheating. That what they do is they carry for the keke riders and the minibus drivers. What they do is that every time they go, they carry their 1 liter can with them. If they want to do their own survey or their own monitoring. So when they get to the filling station, they bring the 1 liter and ask the seller, the retailer, the pump attendant to check for them. So if it is filled to the brim or close to the brim, they adjust that filling station as dispensing at the approved metering. Then if they go to other places and they sell and the same 1 liter you bought is sold short of that, then you know that that filling station is sitting on the pump price. So what they do is that they tend to avoid those stations. Then we went to a private retailer, an independent marketer, they call Extort. Extort was along Waniba Road. Incidentally, their sales seems to be, the volume they sold at 1 liter was a bit more than what the NNPC sold. It's just that this is spent at 900 naira per liter as against NNPC that was dispensing at 890. So by and large, the feedback I actually got was from the keke rider and minibus drivers. Some of them were even mentioning some, I may have forgotten their name, some filling stations and some locations, that those particular filling stations, they shift on their pump. But what they said for you mostly is not up to the volume they know they were supposed to dispense. So that's the feedback from you. They are going for sales.
So, did you try to get reactions of some of the customers?
The customer's reaction I actually got is what I just said in the course of giving you the update from Fiber, that in you, most of the feedback I got here from the keke riders and minibus drivers who often buy bits and pieces from the filling station. They don't usually buy much. They buy little by little. So this is the filling station more regularly. What they actually said is that there is indeed a lot of profound cheating, surveillance of cheating on the pump among most of the filling stations. But what they notice is that they have come to realize by just that crude measurement they use. What I confronted the people at Udoport, for instance, whose volume were a bit more than the NFPC. And the supervisor at the station told me that they don't shift on their pump because they are regularly visited by industry regulators that come in from NFPC with their tester to measure them. And their own proprietor actually France are cheating on the pump. So they dispense at the approved volume. That sometimes their price may be a little higher, but they don't shift on the volume itself. So that's the feedback from you.
Okay, Egufe, are you aware if there's a law for pump manipulation or fraud at filling stations?
Of course, I've been involved in a lot of monitoring as a media partner with the former DRO that has been treated into two now. I've been involved with a lot. I know there are a lot of penalties from fine to sealing of the station. Sometimes, even in extreme cases, they arrest the personnel that are involved in such fraudulent or sharp practices.
Mhm. All right, thank you very much, Egufe, for the report.
Thank you for having me.
All right, moving on, let's talk about the flooding in some states. Now, the federal government warned yesterday that 32 locations across 11 states might experience heavy rainfall that may lead to severe flooding between yesterday and September 18, 2025. The warning came just days after the torrential rainfall in Zaria, Kaduna State, displaced over 470 children and destroyed no fewer than 270 homes across several communities. The Director, Flood and Coastal Zone Management Department, Usman, gave the warning in a flood alert notice issued by the Federal Ministry of Environment and National Flood Early Warning Center. According to the notice, the affected states and locations are Adamawa State, Benue State, Nasarawa State, Taraba State, Delta State, and Niger State. Others are Kebbi State, Kano State, Kasuna State, Sokoto State, Zamfara State, and of course the local governments are also available in the Vanguard story. Now it's cautioned that rising water levels in River Benue and River Niger pose additional risk, warning that communities situated on the flood plains were especially vulnerable, and that urged our government and other agencies to provide prompt feedback and act quickly to mitigate the impact. I recall that Nigeria has experienced repeated cycles of devastating floods in recent years, often worsened by poor drainage, rapid urbanization, and climate change. And as of September 4, the flooding that ravaged many parts of the country this year has claimed no fewer than 231 lives, with 114 persons missing. And according to the data from the National Emergency Management Agency's flood dashboard, 607 individuals have also sustained injuries. And of course, the communities are also pleading to the federal government to come to their aid. Now, let's end this on a lighter note with Mr. and Mrs. this morning. And the first person speaking today is Mrs. Mrs. says, You expect me to cook, serve the food, clean the house, and scrub your back and the bath like Stella. I'm not Stella. Fingers are not equal. And Mr. replied, But you expect my fingers to buy what rich men buy for their wives. Mr. You're comparing Mrs. to another woman. And of course, it is your duty to buy for your wife. So don't complain. I mean, you signed the contract the day you signed the marriage certificate. Well, this is what we have to draw the curtain this morning. My name is Damlola Ogunshakin. Do what to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. You can also visit our website, www.vanguard